Hello everyone, I'm Bill Hammond and I actually paid to see this. If you've been following along here on the channel and on the blog, actuallypaid.com, you know that tonight is the big one, the granddaddy of them all, the highest honor in cinema, the Oscar for Best Picture. Now, we're going to do this one a little bit different than the other videos and other blog posts because unlike the other 22 categories, this is not a winner-take-all vote for your favorite. Best Picture, since 2009, in what is now called the preferential era, is decided by a system called ranked choice. So before we delve into the actual analysis, let's take a look at how it all works. So if you're an Oscar voter, your ballot is pretty straightforward for the first 22 categories. You have 5 nominees, you pick one of them, whichever one gets the most votes, that's your winner, whether it's a majority or a simple plurality of the votes. When it comes to Best Picture, however, you have 10 slots to fill in. The idea is that you take all 10 nominees and you make a choice to rank them, hence the name, 1 through 10, based on whatever criteria you happen to have. Once that's done, all the votes are tabulated. Technically speaking, you only have to fill in the number 1 slot, thereby picking a winner, in order for it to count, but this is a process of elimination. So once we have all the votes, we look to see how many first place votes each movie got. If one of them has more than 50% of the entire field, that's your winner, contest is over. If not, which is extremely likely in a field of 10 candidates, then we've got some pruning to do. Say The Power of the Dog gets 40% of the first place votes. That's a pretty strong plurality, but it's not enough to win. So we go to 10th place. Say that's Nightmare Alley, just for the sake of argument, and it got 4% of the first place votes. It is now eliminated, donezo. And of those 4% of the votes, now we have to look to see who the voter picked as their second place finisher. Those votes are then redistributed to the remaining eligible films. If you somehow only filled in that number 1 slot and didn't pick a number 2, well, now your ballot's thrown out. That also can reduce the number and make it easier to hit a majority. We keep doing this process until we have a majority of first and collected votes. Ostensibly, this whole process could get narrowed down to 2 movies, where one of them has a majority and the other one doesn't. It's basically a way of trying to find consensus, especially in a field so large. And for the most part, it's worked out, give or take a Green Book or a Shape of Water. Now, because I am a nerd and I take this way too seriously, when it comes to picking a Best Picture winner, I try to be as objective as possible in a matter that is inherently subjective. When it comes to the actual award itself, Best Picture is awarded to the film's producers. Therefore, I like to think of the category as rewarding the best overall production of the year. Because of that, I've been trying to create a formula to figure out the best way to go about this, and I've been tweaking it a little bit year by year to try to find the right equation for this. The idea being, there are so many disparate elements of a production that you can't just say one film is better than the other without breaking them all down. So what I decide to do is look at all those individual elements and rank the 10 films within each one, assigning 1 point for last place and 10 points for best place. The points and ranks ascending within that as it goes. Once I do that, then I add up the totals and decide, based on that, how I'm going to rank the films. So here's how the system works this year. First and foremost is the acting. That's what every viewer sees. It's the most direct element that anybody can relate to. So I weight that at 3 times its normal score. Whatever ranking it gets, it counts 3 times. Next is the directing and the writing, the crucial behind-the-camera elements. Those get a 2 times rating. Artistic elements, things such as makeup, music, costuming, production design, all that gets lumped together for a single rating. Then you get to the technical elements like cinematography, editing, sound, visual effects, also getting a singular rating. And the final 10 points comes from my own personal ranking of enjoyment on each of these 10 films, ranked 1 to 10, to give us a total possible score, if you get first place in everything, of 100 points. Okay, so that's my basic methodology, and the way this works out is that we may end up with rankings that do not reflect what I personally thought were the more enjoyable movies. This is the whole point of this. I could just say that, hey, Licorice Pizza was the best, so it should win. But that's no fun. So I do include my own personal preference as 10% of the rankings, and in the interest of full disclosure, here they are. So for my personal preferences, Licorice Pizza is number 1, Belfast is number 2, Drive My Car number 3, Dune number 4, Power of the Dog at number 5, Coda at 6, King Richard at 7, Nightmare Alley at 8, West Side Story at 9, and Don't Look Up at 10. However, I watched 132 movies for the 2021 canon, so within the context of everything I saw, Licorice Pizza still ranks number 1 for me, Belfast is my number 3 overall, Drive My Car my number 4 overall, Dune drops down to number 28, The Power of the Dog at number 32, Coda at 42, King Richard at 50, Nightmare Alley at 67, West Side Story at 85, and Don't Look Up is all the way down at number 104. So that's me sitting in the theater, enjoying a film, or sitting on my couch or my bed, watching on the TV. That's how I enjoyed the films, how much I liked them. But now, let's get down to brass tacks and actually do some math. Here are my official rankings for the 10 Best Picture nominees. Let's do it. Number 10. West Side Story. The acting, dead last. Directing, barely above it in 9th place. The writing, dead last. Artistic elements give it a little bit of a boost to 7th place, but then it's back down to 8th in technical, and overall it was my 9th favorite of the set, for a total score of 18 out of 100. There's just at least one movie every year in the preferential era that just does not deserve to be nominated. West Side Story definitely is one of them, and sadly, there are a couple others as well. Number 9. Don't Look Up. The acting rates at 9th place because mostly I just see the cast being themselves. The directing is at an 8. The writing is down to 9 because the satire just didn't work for me. Artistic elements are at a 10, technical at a 9, and personally it was my least favorite of the bunch. It gets a little bit of a boost over West Side Story with a total score of 20 out of 100, but that's not saying much. Number 8. King Richard. The acting is in 8th place. The directing is in dead last. The writing is up to 7. The artistic elements are at an 8. The technical aspects are in last place because only the editing really shines through. And personally, it was my 7th favorite. I absolutely love what Will Smith and Anjanou Ellis were able to pull off with their performances, but apart from that, there's just not that much to talk about as a complete work worthy of Best Picture. It gets a total score of 27 out of 100. Number 7. Nightmare Alley. This, along with our 6th place finisher, are better films that in a different year could have been up for Best Picture, but honestly I don't think they quite get there with it. Nightmare Alley ranks 7th in acting and directing, ranks 8th in writing. The artistic element brings it up to 3rd place, which gives it a big boost in the score. The technical elements are at a 7, and personally it was my 8th favorite. Its total score is 41 out of 100, not quite up to, in essence, half credit. Number 6. Coda. In the old system of only 5 nominees, it would just miss the cut in 6th place with a score of 52 out of 100, which would be mildly disappointing, but I understand. It ranks 5th overall in acting, 6th in directing, 5th in writing. but takes a big dip to 9th place in the artistic elements. It comes back up to 6 on the technical, and it was my 6th favorite overall. Very middle of the road, still very enjoyable on the whole, as are most of these films, but you gotta remember, in the context of Best Picture of the Year, the bar is much higher. Number 5. Dune. This is a case where the artistic and technical elements really elevate the total score, as both of them rank in first place. As far as the acting and writing, I have those in 6th place, and Denis Villeneuve I have as the 5th best director of the whole set. Personally, it was my number 4 favorite out of this group, which gives it a total score of 64. Not too shabby. Number 4. Belfast. Now here's where you're going to see the rating shift a bit. I have it as the 3rd best acted film of the year, the 4th best directed, and 4th best written. The artistic elements take a little bit of a dip into 5th place, but from a technical standpoint, I rate it number 2. It was also my 2nd favorite of the year of these 10 nominees, giving it a total score of 76. Number 3. Drive My Car. It's the 4th best acted overall. Given its very large ensemble, that's quite the accomplishment. Ryusuke Hamaguchi is the 2nd best director of this set. I consider this the best screenplay overall for both sets of adapted or original. Artistically, there's not much to go on, nothing really in the costume design and everything like that, so it gets knocked down to 6th place. The technical aspects are at a 3, and personally, it was my 3rd favorite of this set, and 4th overall for the year. Total score, 80 out of 100, a worthy winner. Number 2. The Power of the Dog. This was my 5th overall favorite of these nominees, right in the middle. However, it gets a huge boost from the ensemble cast, which ranks 2nd overall for me. It gets a huge boost from the writing, which I also rank 2nd. And on the artistic merits, also 2nd place. Jane Campion as a director, I rate 3rd overall, and the technical aspects are a solid 4th place. Add it all together, it gives it a total score of 83 out of 100, which means it has a very strong case to win. And my final vote for 1st place goes to Licorice Pizza. My favorite film of the Best Picture nominees, my favorite film of 2021. Of course, it's going to get number 1 in that ranking. I also consider it the best acted film of the year between Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim in the leads, and our cadre of supporting and one-off characters played by John Michael Higgins, Bradley Cooper, Sean Penn, Tom Waits, the whole lot of them. They just do excellent. Paul Thomas Anderson's script I rate 3rd overall. The artistic elements, like the costuming and the production design, gets it at 4th place, and its lowest ranking is in the technical elements, which is still number 5. All in all, this gives Licorice Pizza an 89 out of 100, and my vote for Best Picture. And there it is. If I somehow had an Academy vote, and why would they give me one? All I do is watch everything. That's how I would rank the films, with Licorice Pizza as my vote for Best Picture. But we'll see what actually happens when the envelopes are open and the results are read on Sunday. But speaking of those results, make sure you tune back in on Friday, where I, Bill Hammond, will help you fill out your Oscar pool. I will break down all 23 categories, not by who I think should win, but who I think will win. Make sure you're here for all that action. But until then, keep it locked on the blog, actuallypaid.com, for all the latest news, analysis, and reviews. Until next time, I'm Bill Hammond. I actually paid to see this.